Okay guys, we are on our first video of Unit 8 using what we know from the unit circle and our formula sheet to find other exact values. So you got a formula sheet in class the other day, and it is the formula sheet or the reference sheet that you're given on the Regents exam. You should have this with you at all times from now on. It has a lot of trig on it that we'll use this unit, but it also has other things that we'll learn later in the year. As I zoom in, and I circle, you'll see what we're going to focus on today are the sum of two angles, difference of two angles, double and half angle formulas that I'm circling now. You do not have to memorize any of these formulas. The sheet is given to you for Regents Day. You'll have a test version of it for all of my tests. You just need to learn how to use it, and that's our focus today. So for example, I might ask you to find the exact value of the sine of 75. 75 is not a value that we memorized on our unit circle, so what we need to do is break it down into two numbers that we do know. 75 is 30 plus 45. We know 30 and 45. We know those coordinates on our unit circle. So I rename 75 as 30 plus 45. And then I look at my formula sheet. I'm adding two angles, so I find the sine of two angles added. The reference sheet uses A and B. So on my reference sheet, I see that the sine of A plus B is equal to sine A times cosine B plus cosine A times sine B. Again, I don't have to memorize it. I just need to know where to find it, and that will be on your reference sheet. So copy your formula down. And from here it's substitution. The angle above my angle A is 30, so every place I see an A I'll replace it with 30, and every place I see B I'll replace it with 45. So I'm going to evaluate the sine of 30 times this cosine of 45 plus the cosine of 30 times the sine of 45. These are values you know, and if you don't, you need to know them. They're from our unit circle. Sine of 30 is 1/2. Cosine of 45 is root 2 over 2. The cosine of 30 is root 3 over 2. Sine of 45 is root 2 over 2. Follow PEMDAS. Multiply before you add. 1 times root 2 is root 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Root 3 times root 2 is 6, root 6. And 2 times 2 is 4. Now I'm adding. I have a common denominator. I'll keep it. Combine your root 2 plus root 6 all over 4. And that's your answer. I do expect you to be able to check on your Inspire, although you can't use them on the part 1s of my tests, but it's worth it for while we're learning. So go to your Inspire. Type in sine of 75 degrees, and you'll get an ugly decimal. It's nothing we know. It's not a value we've ever seen before. So we approximate with a decimal, that square root. Now type in the result we got. We got a fraction that was the square root of 2 plus the square root of 6 over 4. When I hit enter, I should get the same decimal. And I do. So that's a nice quick check. What I'd like you to do next is find the same value, sine 75, using the difference formula. Pause, try it, and then watch my work in the next segment. (75) is 120 minus 45. So I can rename that as sine A minus B. Go to my formula sheet, find a difference of angle formula for sine. Sine of A minus B is sine A cosine B minus cosine A sine B. Again, don't memorize, just know where to look. I replace A with 120 and B with 45 throughout my formula. And again, these are unit circle values, things I need to know well. Sine of 120, root 3 over 2. Cosine 45, root 2 over 2. Cosine 120, negative 1/2. Sine of 45, root 2 over 2. Multiply, and then subtract, and we get root 6 plus root 2 over 4, which is exactly the same thing we got when we used the sum formula. So it doesn't matter which formula you choose. And the last thing I'd like you to do is try it using a half angle formula from your formula sheet. 75 is half of 150. There are half angle formulas we can use. And I'm not showing you anything else. I want you to try it and see what happens. So what should you have taken away or learned today? Well, essentially, you can find the exact values of a lot of angle measures by renaming them as addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division, and using that reference sheet that's given to you on the Regents exam. You need to know your unit circles still. Keep studying. And that's it.